Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for standing by, and welcome to today's Tivoli User Community webcast. Our topic for today is using Maximo to manage some of the most complex assets on the planet. All phone lines are in listen-only mode, and later there will be a question and answer session with instructions being given at that time. You may also ask a question at any time using the chat window located in the control panel. Chat questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. Today's session is being recorded, and you will be provided a copy of today's materials following the call. I'll go ahead and introduce our expert speakers for today. Chris Robinson is a Senior Product Manager for IBM Internet of Things, Asset and Facilities Management, and has held a number of product development, product management, business development, and market management positions at IBM, General Electric Aircraft Engines, Digital Equipment, Ingersoll Rand, and Compaq Computers. Stan Smith is a design manager with the IBM Internet of Things organizations. He is responsible for the set of designers who designed the Maximo for Aviation product, along with the set of Maximo Industry Solutions and add-on products. And with that, I'd like to go ahead and turn the presentation over to Chris and Stan. Take it away, guys.
Thank you. This is Chris Robinson, and hello, everyone, and thanks for joining our session today. What we like to talk about is the aviation market, which has some of the very complex assets, probably some of the most complex in the world. Talk a little bit about the market, and also introduce a new Maximo industry solution that was just recently released for this market. And Stan will pick up and discuss that. Then also transition and talk about some, for people that are familiar with Maximo, some of the new license options and security groups that we've included with this new offering. And do a summary and have a question and answer session. So there's quite a number of very complex assets that Maximo manages, and many of them have similar kind of traits. But one of the interesting parts about an aircraft and maintaining that is was defined by one of our business partners and development partners, talking about an aircraft as a flying object that has to be perfectly identified, monitored, and maintained around the world. And the squiggles at the bottom of this chart is actually a trace of an aircraft during a period of time. And so where that aircraft is, what type of aircraft, when it needs maintenance, where the parts that you need for that, do you have the right skilled labor at that location, and can I get that scheduled in for maintenance and get it back in the air quickly so that I do not interrupt my flight schedules is a very complicated problem to solve, and it's one we've been working with the design partners on to help us address that. So as we look at this market, again, a lot of these are very similar to other markets that Maximo provides solutions for, but some unique requirements. Very small operating margins, requiring that asset utilization is very high capital costs in this market. So optimization of use of resources, whether that's people or facilities, and anything we can do to reduce the cost of maintenance operations helps with increasing the margins. Clearly, a lot of the inventory for maintaining this equipment is extremely expensive, so anything to optimize inventory and component purchasing or sharing of pooled assets is a value to improve margins. And also, in many cases, there's a number of third-party contracts for services that need to be managed efficiently. So a lot of things that can eat away at your margins, so anything to improve the efficiency of any of those areas is important. And also, like in many other regulated industry, airworthiness, the safety and availability of the aircraft is extremely important. With new aircraft, the amount of software is growing significantly, so validating the software and hardware configuration of a particular aircraft is becoming more and more complex. So making sure you have the right configuration is a key component in this market. Clearly, there's a number of country regulatory requirements that have to be met, and as in other industries, but again, many service bulletins and airworthiness directives, things that have to get changed on that aircraft at a particular point in time are important. And one of the other areas that's a bit unique in this market is aircraft will be leased or sold to a carrier for a period of time, and at the end of that sold to another carrier. So resale value is a very important part of the overall financial picture. Again, going back to small operating margins, the higher resale value you can get at the end of the life of that aircraft, or at the ownership period of that aircraft, the better your margins can be. So having a well-documented aircraft with its maintenance activities, its configurations, help improve the resale value of that aircraft. So an important thing in this marketplace. So let's talk about this new Maximo industry solution. What we announced in the middle of June is a new Maximo for Aviation MRO solution. It's really targeted at organizations that do maintenance, repair, and overhaul of aircraft and aircraft components. So whether it's in this image, a jet engine, landing gear, the airframe, so the key components of that. We're really targeting commercial, defense, and government clients who manage both fixed wings and rotary aircraft. And later this year, our plan is to introduce additional flight readiness capabilities that are really of additional interest to airlines and operators. So we'll, by the end of the year, be focusing on the entire market, both the MRO providers, the service providers, as well as the carriers. One of the things we want to talk about in terms of this new solution, it's really based on proven capabilities of multiple Maximo products. Many of you are aware we do work in safety critical complex asset management over many years. So we've taken that learning and included that into this new solution. One of the unique things is it's not a loose bundle of different components. It's a fully integrated solution. And besides just taking existing components, we've added added significant new capabilities targeted for this industry. And by making it a unified solution, have been able to provide a user interface in the language and technology terminology of the aviation industry. Talk a little bit more about some of the things we've done to make this easier. One of them we'll talk about later is new security groups with associated start menus or individual user menus for the different functional organizations. We've also added some new license types, which we'll talk about in the, later on in the session. And because it's one integrated product in terms of starting up, it'll be easier to install as one product, not a bundle of components. And also in terms of fixing and upgrading it over time, it's treated as one industry solution. So one of the other things we've spent a lot of time on is providing capabilities at a role base across the entire organization. And this is a sample organization chart for a maintenance organization in the MRO facilities. You see there's many different roles and domains, and we've provided capabilities in across this entire portfolio of functionality. So with that, I'd like to introduce and turn this over to Stan Smith, Design Manager for this product, and give you a highlight of some of the capabilities we have in this new product.
So thank you very much, Chris, for the initial part of the presentation. What I'm going to do is just kind of touch on a few of the main areas. As you know, those of you that have been around Maximo, you know there's a lot of different types of users of the system, and whether we tie those into kind of general categories like engineering, we may also tie it into, you know, the supervisor role, stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of ways to kind of characterize functionality. It's important to characterize it because, you know, Maximo is relatively broad as a technology base and as a set of capabilities. And so, you know, what we've done here is tried to organize under a few key categories. And as Chris mentioned, this is a solution that was created through capabilities from an existing combination of products as well as creating new capabilities. So, sometimes you'll hear us maybe drop in and talk about some scheduler capabilities or some ACM or some service provider or transportation. And, we did leverage from each of those products as well as extending on some of the core capabilities. So as you look at this, you might recognize some of these functions as, maybe having some heritage that might be recognizable to you, and more than likely it was. But we also found that, we've skirted the aviation industry for quite a few years within Maximo. We've had a set of customers within there, but one of the things we found is that the implementation effort to be able to take Maximo terminology and turn it into aviation terminology was quite onerous. And the only ones that were really willing to do it is those that were, willing to make a large investment to both affect the terminology as well as refine some functionality. So one of the overarching things that we've done here is dealt with aviation terminology. So as I go through some of these items, we're starting to describe them more effectively in the lingo associated with aviation. And so, for example, things like creation and management of the operator maintenance plans, and from the manufacturer's maintenance planning document. OMP and MPD are things that come out of the aviation industry. But if you step back on it, they're based off of an extension of capabilities like PMs and work plans and work orders. So, a lot of this is steeped off of core Maximo capabilities. And so, but from the engineering side, this whole creation and management of operator maintenance plans and MPDs was a fundamental part. It's a non-starter if you're unable to do that. We also, we've got a heritage of being able to manage complex configurations, and with it we drew off of the ACM product. But we've extended it significantly, and we've also really replaced some of the core technology that was used in ACM so that it's much faster and able to deal with a broader combination of items, as well as introducing a more robust software configuration capability within it. So we also, as Chris mentioned, the history of the configuration and the history of the maintenance that's been done over the life of the aircraft was critical. So we've made that a simpler process that can be done at the component level or also aggregated up at the aircraft level. History of the maintenance plans, as well as there's many industries that Maximo is part of that have regulation. All of you that fly are very happy with the fact that there's a lot of regulation around the aviation industry. But for us, there was some improvements that we had to make within the product to be able to deal with some of the additional needs around compliance. And so with that, you can see a small list here of some of the things that were done to deal with some of the compliance requirements. Next chart, Chris. From the planning side, as you would expect with a very complex asset like an aircraft or even some of the sub-assemblies like an engine, there is a lot of actions that need to be done. And so with it, planning is a fundamental aspect of that. And with that, we leverage a lot of capabilities that were part of Maximo Scheduler. And from the planning side, we've got a couple of things that have been done that are specific to the aviation industry, but also have some general value. We've got a cleaner hierarchical view of the planned and the forecasted work. We've got some enhancements that we did around the costing of the preventive maintenance based off of the nested job plans. We've introduced some new technology from the graphic standpoint within the underlying scheduler product. And with that, we've been able to leverage that to enhance the graphic viewing of both viewing and assigning workload, both at the hangar level as well as at the aircraft within each of the bays. And so if you think of what we've had to do here, one whole aspect is around managing hangars and hangar capacity. Then once you're within the hangar, you then got the needs to manage the work that's being done within the aircraft. And so with that, you can see that that rippled into a set of changes throughout the product, as well as some enhancements that were needed to be able to deal with both aspects of that. Next chart, Chris. As far as material management, many industries have very expensive assets associated with them and a large amount of material. It is also true of the aviation industry. And so the management of inventory is a fundamental part of it, and so there's some enhancements that we made around that, as well as tailoring it a little bit more into how they do work within pools within aviation companies. There are also organizations that all they are is pool providers. And so, you know, they've got to, for them, managing their inventory and the contracts associated with that is their whole business. And so not only managing inventory, we also are doing contract management and billing enhancements. We also, more of a lights out purchasing capability. There's some things that, you know, you just don't want to have to do a specific action to order at. And, you know, we've got rolling stock and other, or we've got, you know, some rolling inventory that was already there. And, you know, we've kind of built upon that. Warranty management has been enhanced. You know, we had warranty capability within transportation, and we've enhanced that and brought that into this core capability here within aviation. And then also, mentioned already, contract management and billing, some enhancements that were made to that, as well as, you know, one of the things that we'll also point at is, you know, this may, because of the extensive inventories associated with it and the expense around that, is another opportunity for things like Maximo Inventory Insights, you know, as another tool that can be leveraged that we know will work with this solution, but we also know it works with a variety of other, you know, industry uses of the inventory side of Maximo. Next chart, Chris. From the maintenance side, you know, our initial focus around the product offering, and as Chris mentioned, we came out with the maintenance, repair, and overall focused product in the June timeframe. And then at the end of the year, we're continuing to enhance that, of course, but then we're adding in more of these capabilities around flight readiness. But the fundamental part that we're trying to address here is how to more effectively manage the maintenance of these aircraft and the components. And so with that, from the maintenance side, there were a whole series of changes that kind of rippled through this. You know, we've added some ease around managing, you know, labor, skill, qualifications is a big thing. Training, there's some enhancements that we're doing around the management of qualifications and training. Continue to enhance the ability to deal with both planned and unplanned maintenance activities. You know, there's a set of things that, there's a set of actions that are, you know, flight hour based that they know they have to do when a plane comes into a hangar. But there also will be things that happen during flight and during other times that were not necessarily planned via an OMP, but will be unplanned work that comes in. And so this is no different than you are doing in some of the other industries, but we've applied it specifically into the use cases around the aviation side. Dealing with things like service bulletins and proactive work. You know, service bulletins are things that come in from the various manufacturers of the components within the plane, and being able to effectively deal with those and being able to go quickly from a service bulletin into a specific work order or task card in this case that needs to be done within the plane is an area that we spent a fair amount of effort on. Advanced scheduling capabilities for the service bays. We touched on that a little bit, but re-emphasize that here. We've touched on the fact that the graphical assignment of labor to the work for the aircraft in those service bays is something that's been enhanced, as well as dealing with mobility is a big factor here. So one of the things that I'll touch on a little bit later is we've exploited both leveraging Maximo every place if you're in a connected environment and wish to use essentially the Maximo screens on additional array of devices. Maximo every place is clearly enabled within here. But also we have introduced a mobile application around the maintenance side. But I think this continues on with the overall strategy within Maximo and IoT in general, which is recognizing the fact that there are connected environments and there are disconnected environments that we need to deal with. And so, yeah, Chris has gone on to the next slide, which was anticipating where I was going. But we deal with both the connected and disconnected environments. We deal with more browser-based applications via EveryPlace, or we deal with anywhere and introducing applications around anywhere. And so the first one that we've introduced here is we've taken essentially the work execution that was previously released for General Maximo, and we've tailored that to the needs around complex assets. So we've got a new application that's included in the bundle, and that application is the title that you have there. And as you know from IBM, we have complex titles, and this is one of those. But it's really around extending work execution for these complex assets. And so the idea is to address the maintenance technicians and to allow them to deal with both connected or disconnected environments, be able to deal with the task details, be able to do with some of the actuals and usage around it, being able to update the work log as you go. And one of the big things that those of you that have touched ACM or around that is the ability to install, remove, or replace assets within the asset hierarchy. And that's a fundamental thing that is done within this side. And with it, it's something that was one of the enhancements that we made around this new mobile application. Being able to deal with barcode scanning as well as using voice to enter the data. And then also we've got, being able to use a map of work orders. And so, if there is scenarios where the latitude and longitudes are different enough that they will show up differently on a map, you will have the ability to leverage some of the mapping capabilities to be able to see where the work needs to be done. Next chart, Chris. Analytics. One of the fundamental things around the aviation side, but also increasingly a part of each of the industries, is the expanded use of analytics, trying to work smarter, trying to be more effective, recognizing that both time, resources, and resources being equipment, tools, as well as people, are fundamental to how rapidly we can turn things around and how effective we can be within it. So leveraging analytics is just fundamental to any solution that we come out with. Considering the fact that we're now part of the analytics division within IBM and the Internet of Things overall, this recognition of the fact that analytics is fundamental is both associated with where we've been placed in the organization, but also where we were placed in the organization is due to just how our customers are leveraging the product. From the analytics side around Maximo for Aviation, one of the core things, and we use various, one of the beauties that we have within IBM is we have a rich set of analytics products that we can draw from. And in our particular case, we've got both built-in analytics. If we look at much of what was done within, those familiar with ACM would recognize the BDI, or the Build Data Interpreter. But with it, that itself is very much an analytic engine that's running, and that is leveraged for the validation of the software and hardware configuration based off of rules. So it's very much a rules-driven off of a configuration that is sitting within the system. We also leverage analytics to drive the scheduling. In this particular case, we use iLog technologies to do that. And so the objective there is clear as far as reducing time on the ground for the scheduled maintenance activities. Within the aviation industry, they measure the amount of time that an aircraft is on the ground, and they know whether that's due to maintenance or other factors. And so any organization that wants to compete within this industry needs to be as efficient as possible with the amount of time taken to get the required work done. And so this analytics to drive scheduling is fundamental. Analytics to make sure I've got the right skills and components. That is also leveraging the iLog technology. We also know that, with things like the Cognos BI and other things, we've introduced a new set of capabilities that allow richer KPIs and richer screens than even existed before. But for those screens that are just leveraging raw KPIs, that is a critical aspect, and also leveraging reports, very much analytic driven to determine what goes on to there. The things that we're introducing, and you'll see more of this coming in as we get to the end of the year, is exploiting the built-in Cognos capabilities that come now within Maximo. And so with it, we are leveraging that Cognos capabilities, and you'll start to see those in the second half of this year. So, one other thing to mention, those who've been around know that there's a set of things that we deliver out of the box. One of the things that's even more important is the ability to do more ad hoc reporting, the ability to create your own based off of both the look and feel that you want as well as additional data that you want there. And so with that, just as we support BERT and as we support Cognos to create the ad hoc reporting, you'll be able to extend and leverage that within the aviation solution. Next chart, Chris. Integration and data management is really just as with other industries, there is data that comes from many other places, as well as the maintenance system is just one of many systems that come together within an organization that is trying to manage assets this complex. So there's both the maintenance side of it, there's the operations side, and there's a lot of different aspects around, and getting into things like just, standard ERPs. And so with that, we leverage the MIF. So, so the MIF is there as a vehicle to allow access to the data that is contained for this set of assets. We also recognize that, SAP and Oracle continue to have a role in this world. We clearly believe that that role is confined to the ERP capabilities that they do well. When it comes to asset management, that's what we do well. But we don't want to replicate function that they know how to do, which is around the ERP side. So with it, we will seamlessly work with SAP and Oracle, because purchasing, financial reporting are fundamental aspects around the aviation industry, just like other industries. But with that, with an Airbus A380 at over $100 million, the financial side of this industry and the razor-thin margins around it, being able to bridge in seamlessly to the ERP system is a non-starter if you're unable to do that. So with that, we continue to build on what has already been done within Maximo. We also, just to be very clear to everybody on the phone, we do not support SQL Server. We did not support it with ACM. We do not support it with Maximo for Aviation. We believe that the databases that we need to leverage are SAP and Oracle, and with it, those are the two that we support. We also, reams and reams of data. You could expect that there is that within this industry, so archiving solutions are another part that needs to be a part of the solution, and with it, we bridge into both of those. Next chart, Chris. Okay. Maximo for Aviation is focused around the various roles that come into play for managing the aircraft. There are a wider set of capabilities that if you think of an airline or even think of an MRO or an airport, there's an additional set of things that come into play that, that we are now part of a larger family. Clearly, there are large facilities associated with a airport or a hangar and MRO provider, and with that, we've got both Maximo asset management that can be leveraged for that. We also know that, you know, Tririga is something that is out there, and so with that, you know, there is, we are part of a bigger ecosystem here that allow you to manage the facilities, manage the tooling, all the things associated with the various facilities that are leveraged for aircraft. We then also have all the ground support equipment and people movers and everything that is associated with an airport. And we know that today there's a set of airports that already leverage Maximo. There is a Maximo for Airports working group that is out there. We know that there are partners like EDI and others that specialize within that. And we know that they leverage solutions like Maximo for Transportation. And so with that, we also need to be clear on a couple things here. The individuals that are using Maximo for Aviation, you do not have a unique license to each of the products underneath it. Yeah, there is a license for the exploitation of Maximo for Aviation capabilities. For an organization that also wants to manage their people movers, you know, the ground support equipment, we know that Maximo for Transportation fits very, very well within that. And there's unique capabilities that come with those. There is the, you know, changing of the oil. There is the tire rotations. All these things here that are built into Maximo for Transportation. And with that, you would go ahead and purchase that to be able to handle those aspects of your airport. So with that, we are just another piece that slots into the larger family of products within this market. And Chris, I think that was my last slide.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
One of the things I'll answer a question that sometimes comes up when we discuss this is, as you pointed out, there's a lot of enhancements that have gone into this product, and so in the second half of the year, as some of those products that we've leveraged, such as ACM and Scheduler, many of the enhancements that you heard about here will show up in those individual products where it makes sense. So there's some additional capability that only shows up in Aviation because of the packaging of it, but stay tuned, and in the second half you'll hear about some enhancements to those individual products like Scheduler and ACM and Service Provider. So now I'd like to quickly jump to talk about some new license options and security groups. So for the Aviation MRO product, we're still offering the same kind of licenses we have for other industry solutions, the authorized user, the limited use authorized user, and the express user. In addition, we're announcing and have provided concurrent user and limited use concurrent user, as well as express use concurrent user licenses. So they provide a lot more flexibility. In many cases, there's these organizations run 24/7, and so have a large number of named users or designated users, but at a particular time, a limited number of people that are on concurrently. So this is a new addition. Currently, the concurrent user and limited use concurrent user is only for the Maximo for Aviation MRO offering. We'll see how this gets taken up in the market and decide in the future if we extend that to other industry solutions. An interesting point is the express use concurrent user license is available because that goes with the base Maximo capability that can be used with other solutions. So if you're using, for example, Maximo for transportation and you want to use express user concurrent user licenses, that's a new option available to you starting in the June timeframe. So some more flexibility in licenses and license types. And another area that's really exciting, we started out earlier in the presentation showing the organization chart, and Stan went into some of the key functional organizational areas. And while Maximo has had security groups for a long time, one of the new things we've done is provided security groups that directly map to each of those functional areas. So for example, there's in this release, there's a security group for engineering, planning, maintenance, logistics, quality. You can see the whole list there. And we've also defined unique start centers or unique user interfaces, providing that role base, that the user interface for that role, a unique set of applications. So what we're really looking at is how out of the box you can have predefined roles and security groups and provide users the information they need and not a lot of other information that they don't need. Now, these are completely configurable by the end customer, but again, a lot of work went in with our design partners to come up with a good base starting point for security groups and associated user interfaces. So for example, if you look at the engineering security group, we have the following roles for engineering manager, specialist, reliability analyst, program engineer, technical library manager, and technical library specialist. And for each of those roles, there's a unique start center that will be provided. So if I'm a reliability analyst, I'll get the menus that are most appropriate to me. If I'm a technical library specialist, I'll get a different set of menus. And again, they can be customized, but out of the box, you're going to get a hopefully a faster time to value as people can be assigned to this, see the information they need to see on their start center, and then that can be evolved and customized as necessary for a particular organization. So these are currently available for download through the ISM library, and later in the year when we do the upgrade and include the additional capabilities for in the second half of the year, this will get rolled in and be installed as part of the actual installation, and we'll make it a one-step install and clean that up. So with that, that's our high-level summary. What we think is really exciting about this is it's really building on a long history of Maximo success in a number of regulated environments with very complex assets, but now tailored for the aviation industry. It's really looking at managing the whole life cycle from receiving the aircraft and getting the maintenance requirements documents right at delivery all the way till the aircraft is sold or end of life, maximizing the value of that throughout the life cycle support. And clearly a long history of implementing and supporting Maximo worldwide, both by IBM and from a core set of business partners with a lot of experience in this market space. When you get this documentation, there's also a page here that will have some links to our external webpage on IBM.com. There's extensive information in the IBM Knowledge Center on this release. I mentioned the security groups are currently on the ISM library, so there's a link for that information. And with these new license types, some customers and potential customers have questions on what does that license information mean and so forth. So I made a link to that updated license information usage document. So with that, I'd like to close the formal part of the presentation and turn it over to the moderator and see if we have any questions from the audience.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Chris and Stan, for your presentation. So we will be taking questions from the audience. Again, if you'd like to submit a question, please do so using the chat window located in the right-hand corner of your screen. So the first question, will the enhancements provided in Maximo for Aviation MRO be included with other add-ons like Scheduler and ACM?
Yeah, this is Chris. I can answer that. So yes, those will be rolled in. Now, some of the enhancements will be unique to the Aviation solution, but if they're applicable to the freestanding product like Scheduler, those would be included in the individual products. And most of the key products, the ACM, Scheduler, Service Provider, and Transportation, will have releases in the second half of this year, and so you would see those enhancements later this year.
Excellent. Another question is, since Airbus was a key design partner, is this offering limited to managing Airbus aircraft?
No, it's not. Airbus has been a large, a very important design partner, but from day one, this is a IBM product. It can manage Embraer and Boeing, fixed wing and rotary aircraft, so it is not tied in any way to Airbus, other than a lot of good input on the design requirements for the solution.
Yeah, and I was going to just elaborate just a second on the Airbus aspects of this. When we announced this in the June timeframe, we do readily reference the fact that Airbus was a very invested partner around this, and with that, we honestly would not likely have pursued this if we had not had that level of engagement from them. And the focus from their side was to define a product that could replace a product that they already had in the market. They had, bought a company that had a solution that they've been building on over the years, but they essentially took all of the requirements associated with that product, and those are what we use for the base of this. And with it, their customer mix is, just as Chris has mentioned, it's spread across, some of them are MRO organizations, some of them are component providers, some of them are airlines, and they've got a lot of the marquee airlines associated with their product, defense contractors and defense organizations, air forces across air forces, armies, etc. And then it's also all types of aircraft. And so their motivation was very clear, which is they wanted a leading-edge system, and they basically chose IBM to build it off of because of both the breadth of technologies we have, the strength of Maximo as a foundation, and our ability to work with them on an agile side. But from the very start, this is a product in which all IP is owned by IBM and can clearly be sold to anybody, and that is the intention. They recognize the fact that by having it leveraged by a wider community is only going to make the product stronger and help achieve what their objectives are also. So with it, they were a design partner. They are going to become a business partner going forward, but they were just there to help make sure the product got right, and they've invested a huge amount of effort around that. So, next question.
Excellent, thank you. Is there any out-of-the-box integration with Plane Systems to download data sensors, whether that's offline or online?
The expectation, we have the integration that we talk about is also intended to deal with sensors. And so with that, I think, Chris O'Connor had kind of a nice way to describe it. He said, if you've got the data, we are interested in getting it, whether it's real time, whether it's batch, or whether you enter it. But as far as we're concerned, all of the data is relevant to us. And so with that, there's a huge amount of sensors on planes, and with it they bring together vast amounts of data. There are a variety of different tooling and options out there to help consolidate and refine that down, and with it, that data will then flow into Maximo. So yes, we will very clearly integrate within it. It's one of the prime focuses that we have around the IoT side of being able to figure out, what are the types of sensors, what are the different sorting and other things that need to be done with it, and how do we bring it in. And we know it's going to be a wide variety of sensor providers, as well as we know that there's various AHMS and other systems out there that pull in this data. There's a lot of security associated with it. So with that, we will consume the data, and there are going to be many players that are involved in the layers before it gets to us, or you can come directly into us.
Excellent, thank you. We have a question from Jacqueline. Is the hangar capacity determined three-dimensionally or strictly by a number of bays?
It is determined by number of bays, and with that, there are pretty clear algorithms that each of these hangar providers have as far as how many aircraft of different types they can get into the different hangars, and how many configurations they'll support, how many bays they have, etc. And so with it, it's more of a 2D representation of that and management of it from the 2D perspective.
All right, we received a question from Steve. So it sounds like this customer would have to license ACM separately. Is that correct?
No. With that, as Chris mentioned, the customer that is purchasing this would purchase a Maximo for Aviation license. They would determine what type of each of the users they have, and how many of each user type they have, and that would determine how many licenses they need to get. When they purchase that, they get everything, okay? And with it, that includes the underlying ACM capabilities that are leveraged as part of Maximo for Aviation. If you had a usage of complex asset management outside of the aviation side, you could then purchase ACM separately for that, but you would not have to make a unique ACM purchase if you're managing aircraft using Maximo for Aviation.
Excellent. We received a question from Jason. Will the archiving component of this aviation MRO solution make it into the base product, the TPAE? So for example, there are lots of customers who would like a supportable way to reduce the size of their work order table.
We are not introducing any unique archiving capabilities. When we reference archiving there, we're referring to the archiving capabilities that are leveraged across TPAE and the Maximo set of products. So no, we did not introduce enhancements into archiving. What we did is we made sure that it was clear how you could leverage archiving with this solution.
Excellent, thank you. We received a question from Mark. So the security groups and start centers for common organizations are potentially useful. Is this an initiative that other solutions, MAM, ICD, are likely to provide in the future?
Chris, you want to take it, or do you want me? Yep.
Oh, well, we can both take it. Yeah, I think that one of the things we really learned working with, design partners, not just Airbus, but, the security groups are extremely powerful and flexible, but take a lot of work. And as we worked with, our design partners, it became pretty clear that, providing these out of the box and with some start centers, really helps, clarify, feature functions for particular roles and can potentially reduce the time to value. So there's no firm plans for the other solutions. This is the first time we're introducing it, and it'll be out of the box in the second half release. But yeah, it's something we're clearly looking at, just like we're introducing the concurrent licensing. So there's a number of things we're introducing here, and we'll see how it works. And my expectation is that it will grow in use across the different products, but there's no committed plans for that yet. anything you wanted to add, Stan? Or?
No, I think that's good. I mean, if I look at it from the design perspective, and if I look at it from all of the ways that we're trying to be better at describing our users and the set of users and what they want to accomplish with the system. So you've seen us introduce the concepts of personas and be able to talk about what this user is trying to achieve. The fact that I can create a security group and an associated start center that is focused around that is something that not only made sense here, it makes sense across a wider side. And so I would certainly assure you that as a design manager, I'm trumpeting this concept to the set of products that I'm associated with. And so I would certainly expect to see a wider adoption of that. We expect it to be quite successful. We think that it's cleaner to describe. And with that, I would expect it to be successful. And with it, we try to reuse success within our designs. And so I think you'll start to see it wider.
All right, thank you. Another question, does this add-on include an app to manage aircraft compliance requirements?
Yes. Flight readiness is really another term around, I mean, there's a whole series of compliance requirements around flight readiness. And with it, that is intending to be what we are addressing with the terminology we use. So yes, our expectation is that we will have all of the capabilities needed to go from the maintenance side all the way through to the final certification that the aircraft is available for takeoff. And so with it, that goes through to all the compliance sides required to be able to get that certification and that authority to go ahead and do the takeoff.
Yeah, and Stan, I'd want to sort of answer a different part of that.
Yep.
So we've had sort of two questions, like this mentions an add-on or do I buy ACM? I mean, I want to go back and, you know, make sure it's really clear. This is a, you know, complete solution. So this isn't, you don't buy this and plug it on top of Maximo. This is a complete industry solution with all the scheduling, configuration management, warranty, depreciation, and all of that is one solution. So suggest we don't think of it as an add-on. Think of it as a complete industry solution, providing a number of capabilities. So, hopefully that helps. Next question.
Thank you. Question from Michael. Are there any plans to incorporate other features from the transportation solution, such as depreciation and the history tab?
Yes. I'll go further than that. Depreciation is one of the items that you will see in the second half of the year and the next version that we come out with. And with it, a lot of the history things within there and all will be a part of that also. So the answer is yes to both those.
Okay, perfect. Question from Andrew. Are there any plans to do a demonstration of any of the Maximo products, such as MRO, transportation, SCCD, etc.?
Well, we do demos all the time. That's a quite broad set. So if there's a good venue where we can demo that, that would make sense. Obviously, one of the challenges with this product is a very broad portfolio, and our training session from start to back for sales was about 8 hours total. So a demo can be pretty time consuming, but we're always interested in being able to show partners and customers the product, and it's we do bring it to a number of different events. So if there's a specific area or opportunity to demo it, that would make sense. I'd be very interested in that.
Yep.
All right, we received another question from Michael. So could you please touch upon the effort and activities required to induct 100 new or used aircrafts into my existing fleet? Are there any tools available for this?
So we've got a couple We are rolling this out, and we'll roll it out to a set of existing or entities that, or airlines, let's say, or defenses that already have huge configurations in place. And so we know that, with the MIF capability, there is flexibility to be able to adapt to the various different ways in which another software product may have held that configuration. We also know that as we've been working together with Airbus and others to address different RFPs that are out there, we know that there'll be a set of deployment services that may exist where to take some type of tooling and be able to adapt it to some nuance with one software product and pull it into Maximo. So with what we're doing on the Maximo side is we're making it very clear what the schema is and what the structure is to pull the data into Maximo and how we represent it. We believe that there'll be a couple things that will happen. We believe that those will build up over time so that you can say that from this particular type of aircraft, here is a import tooling for that. We also believe that, and Airbus would be a prime example of that, is when the aircraft is being manufactured, to be able to capture all the configuration information and seed the maintenance system right out of the hangar, I should say. I was going to say out of the gate, but out of the hangar. So I think that there will be mechanisms to do that also. But with it, we know that the import is going to be a critical thing. We think that there will be some base things that get established over time. We will look to see whether we can leverage things like the ISM library and other things to capture some of those. And with it, we will engage with people that are trying to do that. And if we can harvest reusable approaches, we will do that.
Perfect. We got a couple more questions. From Fred, this one is from Fred. Does this product support the FAA Part 145 certification process?
We will have to go back and clarify each of those. With it, my expectation, we'll have to see whether we address that in the June timeframe or whether that's part of the flight readiness in December. If there's a way to capture that question and the originator of the question and send that directly to us, we will get an answer back very quickly on that.
All right, sounds good. A couple questions from Chandan. The first one is, has Maximo for Aviation been implemented for any customer?
It just came out in June, and so with that, we are working through some initial implementation work with 2 different airlines, and with that, we're not able to state who those are yet. So with that, with the June launch, we're already in progress on that.
Excellent. And then the second question is, are you planning to introduce any certifications specific to Maximo for Aviation?
We would be interested in understanding the certifications that would be viable within this industry. So with that, certification is one of those, let's say, heavily used terms. And so with it, this would probably be another one where it would be best to articulate the question more broadly or more deeper, let's say, and send that to us directly, and we'll come back on that. But yes, we believe that there are a set of actions that we need to take to make it simpler to be able to deploy this solution. And with that, we expect that there are different certifications that we need to be able to point to. And with it, please articulate the ones that you're looking for, and we will look at what our plans are around those.
Yeah, and this is Chris. In terms of clarification, I wasn't sure from the question if it was like a sales certification from a business partner or it's really certification of aircraft. So any clarification, if we can get a question on that, we can respond.
Excellent. So those are all the questions that we had for now. We are approaching the top of the hour, so if anybody had any additional questions or would like to create a discussion related to this demo, please be sure to visit the Tivoli user community website. So thank you so much, Chris and Stan, for offering your time and sharing your knowledge today. It was very informative.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. So and thank you everyone for attending. So please do take a few moments to fill out the post-event survey. Your input is very important to us, and it helps us with future events. Additionally, you may also follow this webcast on CrowdChat by going to www.crowdchat.net/tuckmaximo. We'll have some questions from the webcast posted along with some slides, and definitely keep an eye out for a follow-up email for recording and the presentation. You may now disconnect, and everybody have a great day.